Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the CFL Fans in the USA podcast. Rick Crabb here with our moderator of our Facebook group of the same name, Mr. Phil Hall. Phil,
Hey,
good to have you
what's up?
back again, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good.
You had a good,
Go
you
ahead.
had a good week?
Oh yeah, definitely had a good week. It's too bad we don't have anything to talk about on this week's episode. Good God, no, just kidding.
Oh man, I have a good week myself, man. I'm going to Kentucky, and I know you're a Raven fan. I'm a Steelers fan. Miles Garrett's gone out of our division. And our CFL start this week. I'm ready. I'm high on life right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a lot to look forward to this weekend for darn sure. And then plus I'm a UFL fan as well, so I'm hoping my defenders don't make a one and done. But I don't know, the way they've been playing lately, who the heck knows? But
Oh man, I can't wait to watch them.
real quick before we get into our topics, I just want to make a point and thank everyone who watched our first episode. Pleasantly surprised with the views. I mean, granted, we're not ready to take down Pat McAfee or Joe Rogan yet, but I mean, I'm definitely pleased. It's better numbers on this, and then on some YouTube episodes that I did in the past on my old channel for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I saw about at least 50 views, and that's pretty amazing right there, Ed. And this is like my first podcast, my first show. I was stumbling with words. I'm probably going to stumble words today, but I just really appreciate everyone watching this, and people appreciate different alternate views of football, and that's what I'm trying to introduce y'all to.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as stumbling words, I think I just stumbled like a few seconds ago on this episode, but
Yeah. Hey, it's all good. We just love what we do. We just love what we watch. We just love football in general. So pretty much you can watch football anywhere. Hell, I was watching a football game in Europe the other night. I was like, what? I was stuck to it. It was insane.
Oh yeah, the two European leagues. Yeah, well, last year it was the European League of American Football, but then they kind of split them up. And yeah, I've been watching some of their games too. They have a Munich Ravens. I'm pulling for that. So.
Oh man, yeah. So I'm pretty much gonna study on that too. So I can find out what's going on with that. So it'll be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely want to do a shout out to one particular viewer. A guy who reached out to both of us, Phil, Hayden Hollander. He actually came up and said, really enjoyed your show. I noticed you guys didn't have a logo. So he designed a logo for us, and from here on out, I'm going to use that for the show, and I already have that as like the profile pic for the channel. So, Hayden, if you're listening, thank you very much.
Hey, Hayden, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then we're going to use that logo. We're going to try and make T-shirts and hoodies. So first we're going to get our own T-shirt hoodies, but who knows? We might even have that for people can get for sale,
Oh, yeah. I had an idea for that, but I'll talk to you about that off the air. But it's
for sure. I like that idea.
Okay. Yeah, and I found out Hayden, he's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, so we're getting people from all over the place.
For sure.
I saw on his profile, looks like he's going to start, get this, Phil, 5 YouTube shows or podcasts. And it's pretty ambitious. And, I said to him, well, good luck with that, but it's tough enough for him to do one. But if you got the resources and the time, go for it, Apparently, even though he's from Oklahoma, but he must have some ties to Wisconsin, because it looks like he's got a Brewers one starting up. He has a Packers one starting up. I think he's going to do a UFL one, since Oklahoma City's getting a team next year in his home state. And, yeah, he's got a lot of, but he's like us, he likes his sports, and we appreciate, other folks who have reached out to us too on the group and on the YouTube show, so thank you everybody.
Yeah, thank you. And also the great people up north. I got a couple people I want to give a shout out to. My man Mike Goodchild, he's a Winnipeg guy.
Mm-hmm.
He also sent me a autograph card of Willie Jefferson
Wow.
of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and I was like, wow, this is insane. And then also, a shout out to my man Ken Reed. He's from Hamilton. He's a big Tiger Cat fan. Season tickets.
Nice.
He told me whenever me and Brandy go up there, which is hopefully next year, he's gonna hook up some tickets and a place to chill. So
nice.
I can't wait for that. And also, people saw this on the Facebook thing. I like to thank the people. I like to thank the personnel people from the BC Lions. They got me a jersey. I don't even know who this guy is, this Goddard guy, but I guess they had like extra. They said they had extra jersey in the what I call it, the shop. So they gave it to me.
Nice.
For a gift, because I'm trying to spread the good word down in America of CFL football. So thank you, BC Lions, for the gift.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought you might have got like a gift pack like John Gruden got from them last week. Yeah. That was pretty sweet what he got.
I know. Yeah. I'm hoping to get my Hamilton Tiger Cats gift card soon, but who knows, you know?
Well, the BC Lions too. I hope to reach out to them one day. I hope they have another practice in Baltimore like they had a couple of months ago. And if they do, I want to get some press creds. The only reason I didn't try anything for it, we really didn't have the show developed, and plus, I wasn't sure if people would really be allowed to go other than the guys that were trying out for the team. But, that was an interesting thing. We'll talk about that maybe on another episode, but...
we'll talk that. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, definitely. One other thing before we actually get to the actual CFL news that we'll be discussing. If you notice, folks, when on this episode and on the previous episode, it said full episode 1 and full episode 2. The reason I'm doing that is we'll still have this episode up, where Phil and I will talk as long as we want. But a lot of channels... What they usually do, they'll have, I've seen this a lot, for example, with wrestling YouTube shows and podcasts. They'll have, say, Dutch Mantel, who'll be on for, an hour and a half or 2 hours. But they'll break it up when they ask them about different wrestlers or different shows on the last WWE or AEW card, stuff like that. So I'm going to probably make, shorter videos, too. For example, we'll be talking about the CFL TV deal. Probably, have, a shorter video just for that. And then, there's other topics that we discuss, so do that too. Just so people can watch that as well and try to build our channel up a little bit. So, I don't know if I'll be able to do that this week, but it's something that's a goal of mine that I want to do, so.
Yeah, we can't wait for that. And like I said, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do this every week. Mm-hmm. And also, I got my Facebook page, and I'm gonna do a little hyped up video. Play a little music of the games come up this week, and also a hype video of the highlights of the game this week, and also our lovely weekly edition between me and my lovely wife, the goddess of CFL, Brandy. we do our weekly picks, and I know she's listening right now. I want to tell her I love you, and Argos is not going to win it this year.
Oh man, yeah. Unfortunately I agree with you, but Argos are my boys too. So I hope that changes, but I think they have to work a few things out, but we'll see. We'll see.
You never know, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm gonna be very busy this week. Like I said, I'll be in Kentucky. I also want to bring my Fire Stick so I can watch the game on Thursday, the opening day. I'm probably gonna miss Fridays and Saturday because I'm coming back home. I got a wedding, but I got it on DVR. I'm gonna watch all these games, and make sure you watch it because it'll be on CBS Sports in the States.
Well, the CBS Sports Network, not regular over-air CBS,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
I wish, but
yeah,
CBS
no
Sports Network. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, speaking of television, let's get to our first topic, shall we?
All right.
One of the things about, unfortunately, the fact that Bill and I have, regular jobs and lives and relationships and all kinds of good stuff, we don't always get the breaking news. It's not like we give Twitter updates and we can hit it as soon as, literally, like the day after we recorded our last episode, the CFL broke out about the new TV deal that they struck with Rogers and DAZN and YouTube and all that stuff. Now, originally, Bill, I was going to click on to an article, the direct press release from the CFL, but I found another one from this site called CFL News Hub that I thought was really interesting. I'm going to click that on right now.
Yeah.
And let's see. Okay. This article, it came out on the 31st. It was credited to Jonathan Clink. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm just going to go through highlights. His headline says, the CFL's record media deal has many fans furious, and it's not about the money. And first paragraph, he goes into what the deal had said. Basically, it's $500 million over 6 years with Bell Media / TSN, DAZN, and YouTube. And he said it's a massive jump from the previous deal that was paying roughly $50 million annually with just TSN. So they're happy about. So the league, they're kind of happy about that, but they said the fans aren't. They said they're furious as the CFL has become less accessible to Canadians as the subscription service was brought into the fold. The anger has more to it than the dollars. And he said subscription fatigue is strong in 2026. Many fans are upset about the Saturday night CFL game rights for 21 seasons and 2 playoff games. Basically, folks, what that is, the zone is pulling an Amazon Prime where with the NFL they had the Thursday night game. They're doing the same thing with the Saturday night games. So they have exclusive, and if you get other things on DAZN, it's like these other streaming apps I've built. If you enjoy Netflix, you like the movies, you get like Stranger Things or Wednesday and then watch WWE Raw, that's fine. But if you only like one thing, it's like you can get like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 apps if you're cord cutting, and add to that whatever you use for your internet provider. You're talking about $150, $200, $300 a month, as much as you would for cable or stuff. So I can understand why people are upset about that. Yeah.
And I see both ways, and I understand, because that's the reason I got Fire Stick cable right now, because I don't want to pay $300 and streaming platforms, stuff like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So, I understand what the fans is angry about, but then again, I understand what the league thing about, because I don't know, this money is one, maybe have a possibility of a expansion team in Canada with the money revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 2, could be having more eyeballs they can watch, equal more revenue, more salary cap, more like, hey, maybe Nathan Rourke might get his big money, or who's the next big Canadian star, and I can see it both ways, but as a fan, I understand. I don't want to pay $30 to watch one thing. Even though DAZN, I like boxing, I'll probably get it because of that, but a lot of people don't like boxing, a lot of people don't like other things, but people ain't going to pay $30 for one content for one night.
Right, yeah. Especially for one game. I mean, not even like the Grey Cup, you know what I mean? It's just...
No.
But,
And I understand it's a streaming world, and everyone's going to go streaming.
Right.
And now, if they would have just made the Saturday night games on YouTube, then that's different, but the zone, that's...
Yeah, that's...
What can you get with the zone? You get boxing, and you might get soccer here and there.
I think AEW did one of their last pay-per-views on there, didn't they?
What, the zone? I think it was like HBO Max, something like that.
Right, but I thought they did something on the Zone as well. But yeah, it's
yeah, and some people say, oh, the Zone is free, but it's not free down here. I don't know if it's free up in Canada or not, but I got to look into more of that. But just like
it doesn't look like it'll be free for them for sure, or for anybody. In fact, well, we'll get into it with the article, but it seems like I was kind of confused by the press release and by this as far as how we're going to be able to see it in the United States, because there's mentions of YouTube and the Zone, so I'm guessing we'll have to pay for it here too. And I think eventually we're going to say rest in peace to the CFL Plus, but I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, and I hope the CFL Plus is still around, but who knows? Definitely rest in peace, CBS Sports Network. That's one for thing,
Right? Yeah.
That's I thank CBS Sports Network for showing some of the games, but honestly it was a dead deal.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like whenever, they'll show everything to the sun until college football season, and when college football season comes, they will just forget about the CFL until the Grey Cup. And some of the stuff, I'm like, all right, why? Like, this is what frustrated me about CFL, like having it on, like they will show in reruns of what I call schooners and all that stuff, sailing and poker and I'm like, show the CFL game. It's live, people want to see when they play versus Saskatchewan. People want to watch BC. You can do a doubleheader Friday night, and people can turn it on the CBS Sports Network. But instead, it's showing crap.
Right.
No one watch. And I wrote a letter to CBS Sports Network. I'm like, hey, you gotta fall in America. You gotta fall in up in Canada. You gotta fall in Mexico. People watch this stuff. People enjoy watching Canadian football.
Sure.
And people enjoy watching alternate style football instead of NFL and college football. And I think doing a disservice of the league if you're showing reruns of stuff no one's watching.
Well, and we've seen this with other leagues too, like with the UFL. I mean, it's like I think one time I was watching a game on ESPN, and they had to switch it over to ESPN News because they had cornhole, and it's like we had to finish it. I mean, it's like I guess some of these things to fill their contracted, especially with the Texas Hold'em poker shows, like that World Poker Tour or whatever. I'm not a big fan of that, but it does have. I know that does have a big following, so maybe that's their thing. I don't know.
I remember. Okay, when I had the Grey Cup party, and I kind of wish I was so glad to have the party at Dave and Buster at a public viewing. That was one of the greatest moments right there.
Nice.
But my worry, my wish list there was having the pregame, the TSN pregame of the Grey Cup, and they didn't show. They went straight to the game, and I used to watch it on my Fire Stick. I got TSN. The build up of this is like a Super Bowl. You just come in and start at 4 o'clock, and they will tell you the backstories of each team, each players, and you got the old Canada, you got the planes coming down, you got the announcements.
Right.
It's it's a big deal, and I feel like America should see the pregame and afterwards too.
That's true, and it's a lot of times. I mean, I don't have access to CBS Sports Network. A lot of the games I see are on CFL Plus, and that's my biggest complaint is you don't see the pregame show from TSN. They'll go right to the game, and you see everything else that they do. Like if they do like halftime, they have the panel talking and stuff like that. But now, one thing about this article, I'm going to go a little further. This was interesting. Now, Bill, you and I have talked about this, and you probably read stuff too, where a lot of season ticket holders are saying, "Oh, I'm not." They're changing the rules. I'm not going to this. At first, I thought it was just people saying, "Get off my lawn and get me some poutine," but no, that's not the case at all. I'm quoting the reporter here. Just moved a little further down. He said, "For thousands of season ticket holders, these changes make some of the league's best and newest stadiums suddenly feel outdated. Mosaic Stadium in Regina and Princess Auto Stadium in Winnipeg were built with significant taxpayer investment, specifically for the traditional CFL game. Seats at the goal line or at points along the end zones will be farther away from the action beginning in 2027. Hamilton Stadium opened in 2014, and I've sat close to the field years ago near the back corner of the end zone in that venue, and it already felt far away from the action. But it was acceptable. Now there will be an extra 10 yards of empty space in that area, and the goal line will be 5 yards further away. The shortening of the field makes the funding of the best stadiums specifically built for the CFL feel like the CFL no longer fits in them." And that's a good point. I mean, you're paying for like the 55-yard line seats right now, and then they shorten the field and move them away, it'll be a little. And plus, if you're in the lower bowl and you're behind the sidelines, behind the players' benches and stuff. You and I have seen this in NFL games. A lot of times, if you're down that close, you can't see because you have 6'8" linebacker and nose tackle standing, with their helmets waiting for to get the ball or for them to come on the field or whatever. So you're going to have that in the CFL. I mean, in Toronto, Kim and I had end zone seats at, and you've seen that stadium on TV. There's only one section of end zone seats. But everything was, the goalpost was farther and we could see everything and we had decent seats. I think if we went to that stadium now in those same seats, might be a little more difficult, but but that's a good point though. You're paying for season tickets, and granted, I don't know how much season tickets are. I know what individual seats are because I bought them, and they are very affordable. They're a lot cheaper than the NFL. They're close to like UFL prices, to tell you the truth. But still, if you're paying, if it's like what my dad and I did, where it was like $100 a seat times 10 because they make you pay for those crappy preseason games, you're talking about $2,000 right there. And then, that's just for the tickets. That's not counting parking. That's not counting any food or beverage or anything else. And if you have these people who've been, I don't know, you have some guy in Saskatchewan who's been a season ticket holder for 15 years, and then all of a sudden they change this, and pardon my language. Yeah. So you can't. I'll edit that out. Well, it's like I can't see what's on the field now. I'm paying all this money for it. I am paying for premium stuff. So yeah. Luckily we're not. This is why we aren't on over-air terrestrial radio, folks. I'd probably be out of a job by now if it did, but luckily Phil and I own this station, so there we go.
Yeah, this is why, like, I used to be a season ticket to a Steeler game, and it costs way too much. Like, it costs way too much. It's like the common person. It usually be tickets for affordable for you, me, and the common man. And the fact is now you got seating license and all this stuff. Now you got parking costs more than the ticket.
Oh, sure.
And now you got these rule changes, and basically I'm hearing other people that the people say it's going to be more further. People who sit front row going to be the seats going to be the field going to be more further than them. Like this is like what are you gonna do? You gonna put more seats in the front, or well, like what's going on? Like, and then my other thing is this rule that you pushing back. Like, is every high school kid in Canada, every junior college down there in Canada, are you gonna push the field goal back, or are you gonna make it 100 yards and stuff like that? Like, you got pretty much got to retrain the rules of every person who played the game up there, and you want them to do it in a span of months.
Right.
And I get it. I get it. The owners agree on it. The players, the owners agree on this deal. But basically, I understand some of the stuff is the pros and cons of the end zone in the front, and the pros and cons of the 20-yard end zone and stuff like that. But honestly, why shorten the field? Like, what's your end game? Like we tried the American approach for Canadian football, and only 2 out of the 8 teams in America succeed. The rest of the team made your product almost folded and almost went to the ground. Like, because you cannot buy in CFL in America. We will watch it, but I guarantee the people will not go to the games.
Right.
And I hate to say it like that, because people was baseball fans, people were basketball fans, people were hockey fans, and guess what? When football season comes, it's in the back burner, because there's college football fans, there's high school football fans, and there's NFL football fans. That will come. Hell, it'll be. I hate to say, like, say you have a team in St. Louis, you have a team in Portland, you have a team in Birmingham and stuff like that. That will go to the back burner, because it's a college-driven and NFL and soccer-driven cities. And the Canadian, like, the thing is, I don't like the fact the commissioner is. They did not ask the people. They didn't have a consumer. They didn't have a poll. They didn't talk to the people like, hey, what can we do to make this league better? And basically, they just did not went to assumption, and they just went, "What? Oh, I think this is a good idea." Like this, like we telling you what's the good ideas. I know people in Canada tell me what's a good idea about how to make this league better. They don't have no local. Yeah, we got TV deal. Yeah, we got streaming deal. Yeah, we got $500 million in the league. Congratulations on that. But how are you going to make more eyes of the Canadian consumer? Like, you got local TV deals? Do you got any free streaming up in Canada? I know they got the Bell Media. I know they got all the little avenues. But what more eyeballs you can have in Canada? That's what it's all about.
Well,
we're secondary.
Yeah, it's one thing this article says. I'm not going to go into it because he goes into details about Canadian politics and all that. But basically, he's saying that the CFL is selling out its identity, and he said the biggest appeal about the CFL is its unique rules, and that it's Canadian. A lot of people feel like they're selling out a lot of things to the U.S., and they're going to eventually make CFL into like a NFL Canada, kind of like the World League of American Football. We'll get like the Frankfurt Galaxy coming over and playing the Argos or something. I don't know, but it's
like the Montreal Machine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, but yeah, it's a lot of people. They say they're worried about the economics, and one thing about sports, it's a diversion for people. And I read a quote the other day from Nelson Mandela about saying how sports unites people more than anything. I agree with that. You have a lot of people, like within our cities. I mean, there are a lot of people that might disagree on other topics, but here they rally around the Ravens. Your town, they rally around the Steelers. So it's like there's a common ground there, but Anyway, this article is really interesting. I'm going to post a link to it in the comments, but it's really lengthy. And shout out again to CFL Fan Hub for writing this. So
yeah, for sure. And like I said, like this basically what they need to do is go back to the roots, and they need to like basically CFL is all about community, with a national pride, and basically Canada, and basically they do by their own rules, and I feel like this commissioner and a group of owners, I think they have concepts of plans, but they don't know how to see that plan. Like I say, I tell you what the plan is you got to get in touch with the Canadian people. And you need to get in touch with Canadian people. You need to sometimes you need to look at the history to solve your problems now. Like, look at the history. Look at the Grey Cups back then. Look at the reason why there's 50,000 people to see the Grey Cup. Why an old Commonwealth Stadium was like 85, 75,000 seats filled to the raft on a regular season game because Warren Moon was kicking butt. You got to ask that question. You got to ask how can we get back to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of tradition in this league. It goes back to being a rugby league, for over 100 years. But
yeah,
so
yeah, so that's the that's the theory on that. And I tell you what, man, I no matter what, I'm gonna watch CFL. It's just disheartening to see what's going on,
Yeah, so will I. And I think a lot of this is too, Phil, based on this article and other things I've read. They even list in the article a short-term revenue fix. It kind of remind me of somebody who's broke and is like, I don't know, pawning off all their stuff just to pay bills or whatever. And I think they're not taking the fans into consideration. They're thinking more of, okay, we got to keep this league from going bankrupt. So I think they think with this TV deal that might help them in the short term. These rules that they've come up with that we discussed last week, they're not, they think that's going to help with the scoring and stuff, which you and a lot of our viewers, our listeners, and fans of the CFL disagree on, but, we'll see what happens with that.
It's like this. I know you're a professional wrestling fan like me. I remember one time Impact Wrestling, TNA. TNA got a unique style of wrestling. They have a 6-sided ring. And, alright, 6-sided ring, they had everything going. They had, like, the future stars, like AJ Styles and Samoa Joe, and maybe I throw a Tinker and old WWE guys in there. But the product is fresh. Then suddenly you got the people who don't know anything about wrestling. They want to bring people in, like Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff, and everyone will get excited. Everyone's all happy about Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff is going to come and try to start a Monday Night Wars Part 2. But guess what? He made a war. Nobody watched it because they sold their soul. And guess what? The 6-sided ring became a 4-sided standard ring because they want to be like the WWE. They want to be like the other wrestling thing. And guess what? It took me 15 years to watch TNA again when they brought back a 6-sided ring. And they almost went bankrupt. And they almost had to go. They almost had no TNA. So I know people don't watch wrestling and all that. What I'm trying to say is get what you got there, how you get there by your own way, not what other ways works. And
right. Use your own rules. Use your own identity. Sell it as an alternative, not because you have that in other entertainment too. You have like other types of music where it's like, okay, you might like rock, but you might want punk or thrash metal or whatever. You might like R&B, but you might like, I don't know, mumble rap. You know, there's genres upon subgenres. You know, where you're not going to say, okay, this one's better than the other. It's just like, okay, this is what we have to offer. It's different. You try it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's why I like the CFL, because it's a bold way to play football, and a lot of people don't believe me or not. They the ones started it.
Right.
You know? Yeah, so.
I know, and people dismiss it as kind of like the UFL or arena football or minor version of it, but it's, you know, it's a league with, like we said, with a lot of tradition and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For
sure.
Yeah, definitely, we think it deserves more eyeballs. All right, Phil. Coming up, we're going to discuss the topic that I wanted to get into last week, but we had plenty of other things to cover. This new wonky playoff format. I looked at the press release. When we come back from the break, I'm going to open it up again. I don't know, maybe I'm getting old and my reading comprehension is slipping, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Folks, you're listening to the CFL Fans in the USA podcast. We're taking a break. We'll be right back.
The first half of the 1965 Grey Cup game is brought to you by 7-Up and the 7-Up bottler in your community. 7-Up, where there's action.
Okay. All right, folks, welcome back to the CFL Fans in the USA podcast. Rick Crabb with Phil Hall once again. And as I mentioned before the break, Phil, let's get into this new playoff format that they're going to be starting next year. And I'm sure starting next season we'll be getting into it as well, but...
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now... Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
now,
go ahead on this.
Yeah, I think you express the exact sentiments of a lot of people with this. Now, as you mentioned last week, though, when we were talking about the expansion teams, it'll make a little more sense if they get a 10th team in the league. But you have basically 8 out of 9 teams making the playoff starting next year. Really? Yeah. And if that weren't crazy enough, I could see if it was like the NFL where you had like the first, second seed have a bye, and then you have the other teams play out, and then you'd have the higher seeds play the lower seeds. You kind of have that with this tournament, but it's weird how they have it set up. So basically it looks like you have the 2 top division winners play against each other. And then you have the remaining 6 teams play against each other. You know, they're the play-in games. The losers of those play-in games of the lesser seeds, they're eliminated. But the winner between the matchup between the top 2 seeds decides who gets a bye. Where it's like the loser of that game is still alive, but they play one of the, I don't know, one of the elimination games, and then the winner of that has a bye and plays the winner, and that decides who goes to the Grey Cup. I don't know, did I explain that right, or is this...
Yeah, you explained that right. This is just a conundrum of craziness right there. Like, wow. He's like, basically is a double elimination of the team. Your top 2 teams of each division are going to have if you lose your game, it'll be a double elimination, and you'll have a reward a home game, and you play the winner of the one of the 2 of the worst teams in the playoffs. So,
yeah.
Like, what are we doing? Like, it's like...
I understand they want to get more cities, you know, I mean, it's like in any sports league, you expand into wild cards, because for years baseball didn't have that, and then they introduced wild cards. You get more cities to host more playoff games and more revenue. I get that part of it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like you could get like
Yeah.
A 4 or 5 win teams. I mean, last year's Argos could probably go to the playoffs in this format. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Ain't like the commissioners say, if the reason why we're doing this, we want to make the regular season more playable. Like, what? Like, you have an 18 playoffs and 19. The only thing it is, the regular season will be diluted and it'll be pointless. You know, basically you telling me, and I hate to say it like this, you could have a 4 or 5 win team might make the playoffs and have a chance to win the Grey Cup. That's insanity. Now, a couple years ago, and I ain't gonna lie, there's a couple times there's an 8 and 10 team, and there was a 7 and 11 team. But having a 4 and 5 win team have a chance to make the playoffs is insane. And that means that if you're the 9th team, that's an instant fire by the head coach.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Like I say, like, only thing I like about it, you moved the regular season to the first week of May, and I'm okay with that. But the whole having 8 teams is just ridiculous. Like,
yeah, and you know, Phil, you always have that one team that gets lucky towards the end. It gets hot at the end of the season, and then sometimes they break through. I mean, you and I talk about the UFL a lot. Remember when before the XFL and the USFL merged, the 2023 XFL had the Arlington Renegades, who won, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 games before the postseason. I mean, they had a losing record, and they had the teams divided into northern and southern divisions. They got lucky and won the southern division, and they beat, I think, the Houston Roughnecks, who were, I think it's Houston. They beat somebody in the southern half that had, like, I don't know, 10 or 11 wins. But they won that game. And they went into the championship game against DC, who had one of the stronger records as well. And they wound up beating DC and winning the doggone championship with, you know, like 4 or 5 regular season wins. So, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like that in the Grey Cup.
Yeah. You remember the time when the USFL, you had the Pittsburgh Maulers play Birmingham. Pittsburgh Mauler only won 3 freaking games, and they made it to the championship game.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. And then it was like a couple years ago. Like, I remember in Montreal, and I remember the Cody Fordoro team. That team in the regular season was dead in the water, but they found a way to scoop their way into playoffs, play a wounded Hamilton team, beat the crap out of them, and then, no offense to the Argo fans, that Chad Kelly decided to throw like 8 interceptions. And they made it to the championship game, and they caught fire, and they beat Winnipeg. Like, I understand parody is cool, and I like parody as the next man. But seeing teams that, like, don't deserve to be there, I have a big problem with that. You know?
Especially when Commissioner Johnson was talking about the different rule changes, about changing the Rouge rule, saying that you're rewarding failure. What are you doing here? It sounds like you're rewarding failure here, too.
Yeah, and I just love the line and the politics of this man saying, oh, we just want to make regular season. Well, what the word he say? Like, what the word he say again? Like, oh, let's make the regular season great, and let's make the regular season counts every game.
Yeah.
And like I actually don't watch sports, because if you're gonna have an 18 team and out of 9 teams, the regular season is irrelevant. Well, yeah, you have to win your games, but it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a night off tonight because it's okay, because I know that Ottawa ain't that good. I know Edmonton ain't that good, and et cetera, et cetera. I know we're just gonna get in the playoffs, and And guess what? We're going to just run the tables in the playoff game. Load management at its finest. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I hope this is like a 1 or 2 year thing to do. I hope they find an expansion team. Like, I hope they find an expansion team within 3 or 4 years, because it's just like this is just like you're doing too much for no reason.
Right.
You know?
And
like,
in the article we discussed earlier, the reporter made a point about how, I don't think I really got into it, I kind of glossed over it, but basically he said that a lot of like the newer stadiums had been funded through taxpayer dollars, and then they were made for the larger CFL field, and then now they're going to have this, smaller field in there. What if, it wouldn't surprise me if Johnson has a hair up his butt and say, you know what, this didn't work, we listened to your fans, you're right, we're going to go back to the 110 yards, and then, the newer stadiums and the smaller stadiums will be like, oh man, what'd you do this for,
And the thing is, like, I know stadiums is not like the NFL stadiums, but I think almost every stadium have their own story, and that's what's great about these teams. Each stadium is like have some stories. Like, hey, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan got this. Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Hamilton got the 3 best stadiums, bar none.
Right.
You got Ottawa. Ottawa got a solid stadium. Toronto is a soccer field. Well, they have little quirks, but guess what? It's a nice stadium. Yeah, hell, Montreal looked like an old prison, but guess what? Everybody show up. Everyone packed the house there.
I don't know, I like Montreal. It kind of reminds me of Harry Potter. It looks like, they're going to break out, have Quidditch right after the game, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, well, the golden snitch,
Yeah.
And then Calgary, Calgary, even though it need to be updated, Calgary is a good area. You have a good fan base, and guess what? They're good enough to have a Grey Cup every 5 years, And you got BC. BC obviously got the best dome and only dome,
right?
But East Stadium is solid in the CFL, and I don't know why. Like, I don't know why you shorten it, and I don't know why you trying to tinker it, and these stadiums are made for those kind of rules, and that's like,
well, well, I think you mentioned it last week, Bill. The Johnson came from, his background is he worked for TSN, and I watched a lot of those broadcasts of those games. While I don't doubt that they enjoy the CFL, some of the announcers admit they're NFL fans. There was this one guy, he was calling a game, he was like saying, yeah, well, I'm worried about my Bills this weekend coming up. It's like, you're covering, stay in your lane. You're covering Canadian football. Shut up. We don't care about the NFL. I mean, the ownership of the Argos, they care about the Bills because they have a partnership with them, but, fans are like, shut up, back to our game.
And my thing is, it's okay to root for NFL, it's okay to root for CFL, but as TSN alone, don't ignore the CFL.
Right.
That's my problem. And the problem is, the guys like Commissioner Johnson, he think the success of the NFL, they want to look at their playbook and do that. Like, hey, let's have a streaming program. I don't care what it is. Let's have a streaming platform. Okay, let's make it closer, just like the NFL or the UFL, so maybe American teams can have a team or three. Let's have an 8-team playoffs. Hell, they did it. They put more teams in the playoffs too, NFL. Let's do it like them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to one, you don't have resource. Two, you don't have enough teams. And three, you don't have enough money to do all that.
And four, you have to look at the economy of Canada. It's different. There, in that article that I mentioned, I glossed over a part where I mentioned they were talking about politics. They have a recession there. They're worried about tariffs. They have a housing shortage. I saw the province of Alberta is having a meeting in October where they're talking about seceding from Canada. And a YouTube show I saw called the Sports Cage, they're based out of Saskatchewan. I think they cover the Rough Riders. They were talking about a lot of businesses were moving out of Calgary to Saskatchewan because of, they weren't sure if they're going to be a part of Canada anymore. And folks, comment either on the YouTube show or in our Facebook group about this, but from what I've heard, Calgary accounts for a lot of agriculture, a lot of manufacturing, oil production. I mean, Edmonton has their hockey team's called the Oilers. So, I mean, so if Canada loses that, they could be in some big trouble.
Yeah, big time. Like, it's not just America having the problems, it's the whole world got a whole problems. And I'm not trying to put politics in it, I try not to. Politics affect sports.
Sure they do.
And that's the thing. Like, look at the situation we have. Like, we have to go ass out for gas. We had to ass out for parking. And guess what? All the food, excuse my language on that, but we want to go to these games. We want to go to concerts, but guess what? It costs like $600, $700 because everybody want to get their hands out.
Sure.
And I remember a time, and I wish I'm kicking myself to do this in my 20s. I remember the time that Super Bowl tickets used to cost $100, $200. I remember the time when WrestleMania tickets used to cost $100 to sit lower bowl.
I'll go farther than that. I had an uncle who was a Baltimore Colts season ticket holder. He had seats on the 50-yard line. He was paying $7 a ticket. This was mid-'70s, obviously, but still, come on.
Yeah. My dad went to Super Bowl 30 in Arizona. Ticket alone, lower level, $45.
Wow.
$45, and that's 1995. And don't believe me, my dad got the stub at home. Now, it's like saying, for example, if I didn't broke my ankle a couple of years ago, I was going to go to the Grey Cup in Hamilton. I was going to go there, and it was like 3 years ago it was in Hamilton, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I was going to go there. And back then, even though it was a little pricey, it was $200.
Right.
It was $200, and it wasn't that bad. Now, with the recession in Canada and the whole world, even in America, now going to the Grey Cup and even McMahon Stadium, tickets alone is starting at $500, $600.
And that's not counting for how you get there. I mean, air flights are a nightmare with prices and stuff. I mean, I don't know.
And this is like, I don't know what their situation of airports in Canada, but in America airports, it's a mess.
Yeah.
You know? And the fact is, everything's going up and everyone's having problems. And some reason, I think sports can help problems sometimes, I think.
Sure, it's a diversion. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a sad thing you just told me, because I didn't know about this whole Alberta is trying to, it ain't getting their way. They want to get out of Canada.
Right.
And a lot of business, like you say, a lot of business. Hell, there'll be a lot of business, research around the world come from Calgary. You know?
Yeah.
And
I think the United States gets a lot of its oil from Canada, and it's probably from that part of it. So if they separate, and who knows what could happen.
Yeah. And this is like there's a whole can of worms opening, and I think that like a lot of those little towns might try to secede from Canada. It's like, I don't know, and that's the problem. And Calgary still have a Stampeders, you know, or the Flames, or
well, yeah. The funny thing is that with the Flames, they're building a new rink, and my day job is basically I work for an oven manufacturer. They got a big contract with the Calgary Flames for a bunch of new ovens and burners for their rink. So I'm curious to see what will happen with that. But maybe nothing, but who knows. I mean, they should have the rink. I think they'll have the rink built before October anyway, but still. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they talking about, and this is March 2026. People can look it up. This is me paraphrasing. They are still continuing to play at the McMahon Stadium, but it's dilapidated and it ain't doing no upgradation anytime. They're talking about a 20-year master plan for a Stampede Park, talking about a future location of a new stadium. And they're trying to do a stadium that can accommodate both rodeo and football.
Right.
And that's the battle is. Now the battle is the town, the city, they don't want to pay for it. They want nothing. They don't want the people to pay for it. They want the people to own the Calgary Stampeder and the rodeo people and blah, 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 to pay it out of their own pockets.
Right. So, and on one hand, I commend the people for that because there are so many cities and states, including where I live, that'll bend over and be like, okay, yeah, NFL, we'll build you a new stadium. Sure. NHL, we'll build you a new rink, you know. We'll pay for the roads and, you know, we'll give you tax breaks and all kinds of stuff. So I can understand governments who don't want to do that, but, you know, if you're a sports fan, you're kind of like, oh, yeah, but I get it. Yeah, it's either, I could see both sides of that argument.
It's like when the Steelers had AccuShort. Well, I'm still going to call it Hinesville. The backstory of Hinesville that the governor at that time, Ed Riddell, big Philadelphia guy. He's a big Eagles guy. He's all about He's pro Philadelphia. He wanted Pennsylvania because the mayor of Pittsburgh wanted to have a new stadium. Like, hey, we don't have enough money. We want a new stadium for our baseball team. We need a new stadium for our football team. What can we do to get our football team a new stadium? And Riddell say, hey, if you really want a new stadium, I'll fund the stadium, but here's the deal. Your people in Allegheny County, that's in Pittsburgh, and the counties around it, have to pay for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Philadelphia Phillies new stadium. And, you know, we bent over and we took it.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's one thing a lot of people don't realize with this stuff. It's kind of like, I mean, they'll build Camden Yards or M&T Bank here. It's not just Baltimore paying for it. It's the rest of Maryland. And it's everybody who pays taxes, whether you like sports or not. I mean, there are people who like liberal arts and the symphony and hate team sports, but they, you know what? They got to pay for it too. And also where a lot of the city and the state governments get the money from, the federal government. So my taxes are paying for the Eagles and the Steelers and the Pirates and the Phillies, and your taxes are paying for the Orioles and the Ravens and the rehab to Capital One Arena for the Capitals and everything else. So yeah, it affects a lot more than they let on. But yeah.
And that's the thing. And yeah, and I really hope Calgary get their stuff together, and because I think Calgary is a important part of the CFL personally. You know.
I mean, seeing some of the videos for the Grey Cup, it looks like a beautiful city too. It looks a lot. I mean, it looks like they even have their own version of like a CN Tower and stuff. I saw videos of it. I thought it was like a few weeks after I left Toronto with Kim, and it's like I thought it was Toronto at first, but
yeah. And I have fans who's Calgary fans. They say they go up to the games and say it's very beautiful, it's very peaceful, it's very nice, and people's nice. The stadium, even though it's a little bit outdated, but it's like okay, it's fan friendly, and it's like it's fun. It's a fun experience up in McMahon Stadium.
Sure, and a lot of old stadiums too. I think a lot of times people have memories attached to them and all. I think the reason why you have the new stadiums, it's not so much for the fans as it is the owners want a new toy to play with. You're Stan Kroenke, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm from Missouri, but you know what? The Dome in St. Louis is a dump. I can get a new shiny new toy in Los Angeles, and you know, and I'll even get like another team and get money from them to go in with me. So you know, that's what it is. They want the skyboxes. They want the dome so they can have Super Bowls and Final Fours and you know other large events too. So yeah.
And like every time, like I say, back to Calgary, like I can't wait to see the Grey Cup in Calgary because it's outdoor. You got no shade. It's cold up there. 9 out of 10 is going to probably snow up there, and it's real football at its finest, and that's what the grittiness I like. This is like it's like going to a Steelers-Ravens game in January.
Sure.
That's how I feel about Stampede Stadium.
I mean, the classic games. How many times have you seen the old NFL films about the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field? I mean, I remember when the Stallions went to Regina and the Grey Cup that they won against Calgary. It was cold. It was snowing. It was ice. It was. I mean, they could have had the Winter Classic there instead of the Grey Cup. It was that doggone cold, but yeah, it was. But you like to see that though because you want the elements. You want to see, you know. I mean, I think part of the reason, like the Super Bowl, they play in domes or warm cities, not just because of the celebrities and stuff, people coming in. I think it's more that now, but more so, I think they just wanted, they wanted perfect conditions so you could see each team at their best. Whereas, if you have a Miami Dolphins, coming up to, play, the Patriots in Foxborough in, January or whatever, it obviously favors New England, because they're built for the cold and Miami isn't. And plus, if you have a team that's more pass reliant as opposed to running reliant, I mean, in our division, we're more used to, smash mouth football, running over people and stuff like that, whereas you have, a greatest show on turf, they might not be the greatest show on frozen turf somewhere else,
Mm-hmm. It's like golf. I watch golf. I play golf. It's like my favorite tournament in golf is the U.S. Open. And the reason why I say the U.S. Open because they find these courses around America. They find the toughest courses and they make it tough. And you can see the different strategies of each golfer play.
Mm.
And that's the reason why I like outdoor. I'd be happy to have a dome in Pittsburgh, but from my own home, I like to see the outdoor game because, hey, you have a different perspective. You have a different change. You got to strategize how to play this in this weather.
Right.
And it's that's like all those games in Green Bay, all these games. Matter of fact, all these games in Canada. Like I seen those Winnipeg games. Like even though there's a nice stadium, those games in Winnipeg at home, it's tough. And I'm like, that's why I was talking about last week about BC should win. If they really want to go to the Grey Cup, they have to win the division because it's a dome team,
right?
And they either have to go to Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, or Calgary, and that's the coldest place in Canada. All three of them.
And not only that, like with the one sports show that I saw, the Sports Cage from Saskatchewan, they were complaining about moving the season, starting the season earlier for this reason. He said May in Saskatchewan is kind of like, I don't know, February here. He said it's still cold and snowy and all that stuff. You know, he liked it better when the season started later because it was a little warmer for them. But it's just ridiculously cold there. So, I mean, I don't know. That'll be interesting to see, too.
Yeah, they like the one preseason game this year, like against Calgary, like the very first game. The day before was all snow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's all snow, and it was still cold. Like, it was the middle of May.
Right.
And it's like, wow, it's like this. They're going to move it up. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm all for it, but I'd rather see the snow games in October and November.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's like, I think the announcer on the show even said, yeah, that's one thing I got to learn. Rough Riders football is 2 seasons. It's football and it's cold. So it's like...
Yeah. That's exactly it. And that's the thing is, and I told people this, like, hey, you gotta... That's why I told people, like, Canadian football is toughest people out there because they have to play the elements pretty much half of the season. And the elements is not like the elements in Pittsburgh. It's not like the elements in Wisconsin, even though Wisconsin and Minnesota is cold. But try Wisconsin, Minnesota times 3.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You know, that's a tough one.
And it's definitely an adjustment for American players that come out of, like, the SEC, and then they go up there. Oh, good Lord. It's like... All right.
Chad Johnson say, like, hey, this is people think CFL's the easy thing. This is the toughest thing I ever did, he say.
I believe it, yeah. It's definitely a different skill set.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, we're getting close to wrapping things up. Before we do, though, I think one of the things we're looking forward to, this is the first week of the regular season. Let's get into these regular season games. Who you think's going to...
Oh, yeah. And then, the first game is going to be on 7:30 on TSN and CBS Sports Network, and people want to check it out. Is the rematch of the East Finals is the Montreal Alouettes versus the Hamilton Tiger Cats. People will talk about the Steelers-Ravens rivalry, smash mouth football at its finest. I think this is the closest thing to it. And I think two defense, gritty offense. I love this game. I love it from the gate. And I'm not going to be a homer about it, but I'm going to be a homer about it. Sorry, not sorry. I think Hamilton going to win. And how they're going to win it is you have to find a way to get Kenny Lawler the ball. And then how Montreal win it, you got to protect Davis Alexander at his finest. And use to run the ball a lot because they got a good running game for Montreal Alouettes. So I got Hamilton. This is going to be a good game. Slow scored, you know?
I agree with you. I'm picking Hamilton as well. I think Hamilton has a lot more weapons. Bill, you said last week that they're basically loading up and they have like a small Grey Cup window and they're making trades, they're re-signing players, trying to keep that going. Montreal is I said before, they're a Jekyll and Hyde team. With Alexander, they're great. Alexander the Great. You're right.
Yeah.
But when he was hurt last year, they were struggling, and they also lost I forget the player, but they had somebody really good on defense, like a middle linebacker, I think, that was traded over this past season, and I think that's going to hurt Montreal as well. So.
Sankey, Double Sankey, Daryl Sankey.
Thank you. I couldn't think of his name. I saw an article about him last week. I couldn't think of it, but thank you. Yeah, he's gonna. It'll be interesting to see how that impacts the Alouettes. But I'm with you on that game. Hamilton Tiger Cats, yes sir.
Yeah, my thing is who's going to be wide receiver 2 for Montreal? Who's going to step up? Because we don't know who's going to be step up. It's pretty much just the Philpott and it's pretty much the Philpott Alexander show, and that's the thing. If they don't have a second wide receiver 2,
they're going to be covering Philpott a lot. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, they got a great. I think they got a good. I think David Alexander's a very good quarterback. I think he's one of the best in the game up there. But sometimes he got that Brett Favre gunslinger mentality, is do more harm than good. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a good game. I can't wait for it. So I think Hamilton will win. I think Bo Levi's on a mission this year to win it all for one last time. And Kenny Lawler, he's best receiver. Now, the Hamilton worry about is, can Larry Roundtree III be like Greg Bell? We'll see. So
he looked good during preseason, but those 2 games against the same team. But I like what I saw from Roundtree.
And then we got the next game here. It's on Friday at 9 o'clock. Once again, it'll be on TSN up in Canada, and it's going to be on CBS Sports Network in the States. Unfortunately, no CFL Plus games. We got the Winnipeg Blue Bomber versus the Calgary Stampeders. My assessment of this is going to be a good game here. My question is, can Zach Corrales can do this one more time? I believe it, but they need to rely on Brady over, and then I think that's the key of him being healthy and not get hurt all the time. But they got to believe in their offensive line. They got to believe in their defense. And Calgary Stampeders, they got one of the best quarterbacks, Vernon Adams III. They got the other Philpott, Dalen Philpott, and you got the best running back in the game, Dedrick Mills. Is that Calgary? For some reason, I'm feeling Winnipeg. I don't know. I don't know. Winnipeg is always that team. They're like the boogeyman. Like, you think the boogeyman is wounded, but guess what? They will find a way to beat you. So, I think Winnipeg in a close game,
I think it'll be close, too. Winnipeg, I always think of having, like, a ridiculous home field advantage, and then when they go out on the road, it could be kind of 50-50-ish. But that West Division's so stacked. I don't know. Just so you and I will have, like, competing scores, I'm going to go with Calgary, just because, they're at home. I kind of agree with you about Winnipeg. They're like a zombie. They're like a zombie in a Pittsburgh zombie movie. They don't die, but Calgary has some weapons, so I'm going to go with them.
Winnipeg reminds me of the Milwaukee Brewers. Like Milwaukee Brewers, they don't do anything to make you go crazy. They don't do anything. They don't make any deals. They don't do anything. For some reason, they always there at the end. They always make it to the playoffs. They always win their division. It's like, geez. So I think it's a good game. I think Winnipeg is the team, and then I'm really. Whenever Collares get hurt, I'm really eager to see this Tyler eczema. I can't even spell his. I can't even say his name. But this backup guy, he's supposed to be the legit. He must be the next big thing. So I'm eager to see him play this season. So
Right.
really, yeah. So that and Saturday to 7 o'clock on TSN up in Canada and in the States, CBS Sports Network. Unfortunately, CFL Plus ain't gonna be playing this week. We got two upcoming teams. We don't know how good they are or how bad they are. Is the Edmonton Elks versus the Ottawa Red Blacks, and I know Edmonton play against Calgary backup guys, but something about this team I like about it. I like how this mind of this coach is. I like the running game. I like the veteran quarterback. I love the wide receiver game. They got Austin Mack on the team. They got Giddens Jr. on the team. The defense is solid. They in the draft they went on defense. So Edmonton looking good, but guess what? I also like Ottawa team too. They decided everyone thought Drew Brown to be their starter, but I really like the idea they're going to have Jake Mayer as their quarterback. He's a veteran guy. He knows what to do. And plus, him and Geno Lewis is just like, they connect. They're locked in. And plus, they got Greg Bell, one of the top rushers last year. He used to play for Hamilton. They got Greg Bell, and they got a couple of Toronto guys, like the Toronto defense, coming to Red Black. So I think this is going to be a good game. Edmonton going to win close. And I think I'm seeing like 20-17 right there, but I think Edmonton will win. Basically, I just like this team. I like this team fight.
Right.
So, Edmonton.
I think I agree with you about Edmonton, and I also agree with what you said in the video with Brandy. This will probably be the game of the week. What I like about it is what we saw in the preseason. It seems like they each made improvements in, Edmonton seems like they made a lot of improvements in offense. Ottawa, they did so. I'm sorry, Edmonton in defense, although you said they do have some good offensive weapons as well. But Ottawa, I think more so they improved in their offense. So it's kind of like what's going to give. Good D versus good O, we'll see what happens. But I'm going with Edmonton on it.
So what improved about Ottawa is their offensive line. Like the last three drafts, their first round, they built on offensive line. The first round pick, this Fakara guy, he was pancaking guys left and right. And I remember I watched the game against Montreal, even though he gave up a sack. I forgot who the guy from Montreal. He's one of the best guys on Montreal. I remember he laid him out on one or two plays. I'm like, Fakaro, like who? But Fakaro and Hauser is their top two picks, offense linemen. I think can help. This is the whole season. I think they can help Meyer or Drew Brown. They might steal a couple wins this year in the East. So I just, like I say, I see a 2017, but I see a good game year out. I think Fajaro going to look like he's a man. I think Meyer's going to look like the man, but Edmonton looks like they're going to shock the world this year.
It'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to be an improved team as well. And Ottawa in the East, so I think, I don't know, they may push themselves a little bit ahead of Toronto this year, but we'll see.
Yeah, the more I see right now, like, the more prediction, I'm like, damn, I need to redo the predictions, I think Toronto might have something to say too, but I just think, like, how they say is, like, it's getting, like, the gap is closer.
Right.
Even Toronto, I think the gap is closer to the Hamilton and Montreal team, so.
Interesting.
I don't know. who knows?
Right. Well, speaking of Toronto, they, as well as the defending Grey Cup champion Rough Riders and the BC Lions, are on bye week. So if you're fans of those teams, you're going undefeated into week 2. So congrats to that, I guess. Play your teams twice.
I know some market guys are going to root for the Alouettes. I had some text messages that too, and I know my buddy from Columbus. He's a big Saskatchewan guy. He the one. Shout out to him. He got my wife Brandy a one of those cowbells. She rang it every time. so it's and BC. Yeah, they're gonna. Like I say, BC. That's the darling pick of almost everyone this year is BC. So.
I think just people either really love or really hate Nathan Rourke, depending on, what team you're a fan of. But, I mean, one thing about him, he's not only a good quarterback, he seems like he's got a lot of fire to him. And he's very outspoken. I mean, it's like a lot of players in a lot of leagues, they usually try to stay in the middle and try not to be controversial. Nathan doesn't care. He, when he was asked about the rules, he's like, "These suck. What are you doing?" It's like so.
And people, I had that people say, "Oh, I can't stand Nathan Rourke," blah blah blah. But the way he was talking, I remember last year the way he talked about the changing of his rules is insane and ludicrous and all that stuff. I commend him for that because a lot of people, you get the whole standard question and the snowball answers and stuff like that. You just tell it like it is. It's like he didn't like it, and right. I respect that a lot. And a man who's supposed to be the face of the CFL, I'm with that. So I still can't wait. His little brother, whenever he get released to NFL, I can't wait till the little brother play for Saskatchewan. I heard his little brother is better than him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I don't know, you remember he was, before Fernando Mendoza, he was on the Indiana Hoosier team, and he took them to the playoffs, and they lost to Notre Dame.
Right, yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, so I can't wait for that. I think he's doing good in the NFL right now, but whenever, his time is cup, he's definitely going to go up to Saskatchewan, and then you might have a little Eli versus Peyton thing going on. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll do. Mm-hmm.
All right.
And that's about it, man. I can't wait for this weekend. And even I go to Kentucky, I got my Fire Stick. I don't want to watch it in my hotel, and me and Brandon going to watch it. Have a little Kentucky bourbon, watch that bad boy, and see me screaming for the Hammers, Oski Wee Wee. I can't wait. But all, it's going to be a good week. Usually, always the first week of CFL is always a good week, and I can't wait for that. And people who listen to this, you check it out. Like, I know CFL. If people don't got CBS Sports Network, we got a bunch of people who can put some content so y'all can check it out. Basically, I'm going to say like this, whenever it's on CFL Plus, people check it out. It's free. It's not like the other places. It's just free. Just sign up,
right,
and you got it. You got good quality in it sometimes. But
we mentioned a lot of the negatives with the league and as far as with their media and stuff, but there are two things that I'll emphasize some positives. Number one, a lot of people, like I said before, they think of the CFL as an alternative football league, and it still kind of feels new to a lot of people. But you have local internet radio for each team. I've done that for a few games when I couldn't get they weren't on CFL Plus, or if I had a lag or whatever, I would just listen to them on the radio. And then with their YouTube, they do a great job as far as condensing the games, condensing the highlights. What I didn't like with the preseason, they just said, well, we'll just show all the scoring plays. But what I But what they do during the regular season, and the UFL does, is all the leagues do that. They'll show not only like the offensive plays, the touchdowns, the deep bombs, but they'll also show the hard hits. They'll show the blocked kicks. They'll show, the penalties and plays.
That's why I didn't do like no highlight videos in the preseason, because all they do is just show me touchdowns and stuff like that. Like I like to throw the interceptions, I like to throw the sacks, I like to throw in some of the key plays of the games part of a 3-minute video. And the fact is, just give me touchdowns. Like, that's not the point. I don't like that at all. So
yeah, especially you see like some videos, they'll be like 10 or 15 minutes, but then I saw one game that had like 3, because it was just like 2 touchdowns, and I think it even showed I think one of them was an Alouettes game where Montreal kicked a field goal late in the game, but they were already down by 30 or whatever. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was crazy, and like I say, the preseason thing, I feel like, and I hate to say it, I'm not trying to badmouth TSN. I feel like the TSN quality was worse than all of them. And you going against radio and pretty much someone's iPhone, and they had a better quality and a better radio play-by-play than the guys on TSN.
Right.
I'm like, what are we doing? It's just like, well, I know that wasn't their top guys out there, but it doesn't matter. It's just, I just think what I'm trying to say is there's content out there, guys. You can watch it. If you want to hear it, you can hear it. If you want to watch it through the Facebook and see who win, trust me, I will definitely copy and paste so all one can see it, and touchdowns and stuff like that. There's a lot of content, everyone. There's all Facebook books, plays, and all this stuff. So
yeah. We have a lot of good people in the group that are good with posting, highlights, and as we mentioned, Hayden at the beginning of the show gave us a logo, so we got that too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing about our page and this podcast. Everyone's willing to help, and even from Canada, United States, or anywhere, they're willing to help. Now we got a couple bad seeds sometimes, but
sure.
We weed them out.
Right, that's what the block was for, baby. So there you go.
So that's all it is.
Awesome. Okay, well, folks, that about wraps it up for this episode of the CFL Fans in the USA podcast. Thanks, like I said, thanks once again for watching that episode. Thanks once again for watching this episode. We want to keep this thing going.